The vast expanse of the Milky Way galaxy teemed with life, a vibrant tapestry of countless species woven together by trade, diplomacy, and the occasional conflict. Yet, beneath this veneer of unity, ancient prejudices and simmering tensions lurked, ready to ignite at the slightest provocation. Humanity, relative newcomers to the galactic stage, found themselves at the center of this precarious balance. Admiral Anya Petrova gazed out the viewport of the Terran Federation flagship, the UES Dauntless. The swirling nebulae and distant star clusters painted a breathtaking scene, but Anya's mind was elsewhere. She had spent years navigating the treacherous waters of galactic politics, fighting for humanity's recognition and respect. Yet, it seemed their efforts were in vain. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Krill delegation," announced Lieutenant Commander Singh, her communications officer. Anya sighed, her heart sinking. The Krill, a formidable empire known for their rigid hierarchy, their belief in their own superiority, and their history of subjugating those they deemed inferior. Their recent overtures towards humanity had been thinly veiled threats disguised as diplomatic niceties. "Put them through," Anya ordered, steeling herself for the inevitable confrontation. The holographic image of High Commander Zark materialized on the bridge, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the Dauntless's lights. His mandibles clicked and clacked as he spoke in the harsh, guttural language of the Krill. "Greetings, Admiral Petrova," Zark began, his voice dripping with condescension. "We have reviewed your Federation's recent petition for greater representation on the Galactic Council. We find your claims exaggerated." Anya met his gaze unflinchingly. "Our claims are based on factual data, High Commander. Humanity's contributions to galactic trade, scientific advancements, and cultural exchange are undeniable." Zark's mandibles twitched in amusement. "Your contributions are quaint, amusing trinkets for a fledgling species, but they hardly warrant a seat at the table of the galaxy's elite." Anya's patience was wearing thin. "We are not asking for charity, High Commander. We demand the respect and recognition we deserve." "Demand," Zark's voice hardened. "A fledgling species such as yours would do well to remember its place. The Krill Empire has tolerated your presence thus far, but our patience is not infinite." "And what if our patience runs out, High Commander?" Anya countered, her voice laced with steel. A tense silence filled the bridge. The air crackled with unspoken threats. "Then you will learn a valuable lesson," Zark hissed. "A lesson about the consequences of overestimating one's own importance." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving a chill in the air. Anya exchanged a worried glance with Ambassador Layla Khan, who stood beside her. "They're not going to back down, are they?" Layla asked, her voice barely a whisper. Anya shook her head grimly. "No, they're not. And if we don't act soon, they'll make good on their threats." She turned to her crew, her voice ringing with determination. "This is Admiral Petrova. Prepare for immediate departure. We're heading back to Earth. It's time to show the Krill that humanity is not to be underestimated." The UES Dauntless, a marvel of human engineering, hurtled through hyperspace, its sleek frame shimmering as it pierced the fabric of reality. Within its cavernous hangar bay, a squadron of FTL fighters stood ready, their pilots eager to defend their homeworld. Admiral Petrova paced the bridge, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Estimated time of arrival to Earth?" she asked, her voice clipped and professional. 6 hours, Admiral," replied the navigator, his fingers dancing across the holographic console. "Good," Anya muttered. "Every second counts." She turned to Dr. Kale Tanaka, the Federation's chief science officer. He was a wiry man with a shock of unruly hair and a perpetual glint of curiosity in his eyes. "Kale, any progress on the Krill weapon analysis?" Kale tapped a few keys on his datapad, bringing up a complex schematic. "The energy signatures are unlike anything we've encountered before. It's highly efficient, devastatingly powerful, and—" He paused, a frown creasing his brow. "Unpredictable." "Unpredictable," Anya echoed. "Yes," Kale confirmed. Their weapons seemed to adapt to their targets, adjusting their output to maximize damage. It's almost as if they're sentient. Anya felt a chill run down her spine. That's not possible. Kale shrugged. It shouldn't be, but the data doesn't lie. We're dealing with technology far beyond our understanding. Anya turned to Ambassador Khan, who had been listening intently. Layla, how are our diplomatic efforts going? Layla sighed, her shoulders slumping. Not well, I'm afraid. Most species are hesitant to intervene, fearing Krill retaliation. They see us as a lost cause. We're not a lost cause, Anya retorted, her voice rising. We're humanity. We've faced impossible odds before and emerged victorious. We won't go down without a fight. Her words echoed through the bridge, galvanizing the crew. They had all heard the stories of humanity's past struggles, of their resilience in the face of adversity. They knew that the Krill were in for a rude awakening. As the Dauntless emerged from hyperspace, the familiar blue marble of Earth filled the viewport. But the scene was far from peaceful. Krill warships hung in orbit, their sleek, menacing forms casting long shadows on the planet below. Explosions flickered on the surface, painting a grim picture of the Krill's relentless assault. Anya's jaw tightened. Launch all fighters. I want those Krill bastards to know we're home. With a roar, the FTL fighters launched from the Dauntless, streaking towards the enemy fleet. The battle for Earth had begun. The space above Earth became a maelstrom of energy and fury as human and Krill ships clashed. The FTL fighters, nimble and agile, darted between the lumbering Krill cruisers, their laser cannons blazing. The Krill, caught off guard by the ferocity of the human counterattack, struggled to adapt their tactics. Their weapons, while powerful, were optimized for overwhelming force, not the hit-and-run tactics employed by the humans. On the Dauntless, Anya barked orders, her eyes glued to the tactical display. Alpha Squadron, focus fire on that command cruiser. Bravo Squadron, provide cover for the evacuation transports. The bridge crew worked in a frenzy, relaying information and coordinating the defense. Despite their valiant efforts, the Krill's numerical superiority was taking its toll. Human ships were falling, their debris adding to the growing cloud of wreckage that surrounded Earth. Down on the planet, chaos reigned. Major cities lay in ruins, their once proud skyscrapers reduced to smoldering husks. The surviving population huddled in shelters, their ears ringing with the constant thunder of explosions. Among them was Mara Ramirez, a young engineer who had been working on a secret project in a hidden underground facility. Mara watched the battle unfold on a monitor, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that the fate of humanity rested on her shoulders. Her team had been working tirelessly on a new weapon, one that could potentially turn the tide of the war. It was a risky gamble, but they were running out of options. Mara, it's ready, a voice said behind her. Mara turned to see Dr. Tanaka standing there, his face etched with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Are you sure? She asked. Tanaka nodded. It's our only hope. Mara took a deep breath and activated the weapon. A beam of pure energy shot from the facility, piercing the clouds and striking a Krill cruiser. The ship shuddered, its shields flickering before collapsing entirely. A cheer erupted from the underground bunker. It worked, Mara shouted, her eyes wide with disbelief. But their celebration was short-lived. The Krill, realizing the source of the attack, redirected their fire towards the facility. Mara and her team scrambled to evacuate as the bunker shook under the relentless bombardment. They barely made it out before the entire complex was engulfed in flames. Mara emerged from the wreckage, coughing and covered in soot. She looked up at the sky, where the battle raged on. Despite the destruction of their facility, a spark of hope ignited within her. Humanity had a fighting chance. The destruction of the research facility was a major blow, but it wasn't the end for humanity's resistance. Mara and her team, though shaken, were determined to continue their work. They knew that the weapon they had developed was just the first step, a proof of concept that humanity could fight back. Aboard the Dauntless, Admiral Petrova received the news with a mixture of grief and resolve. She had lost good people, brilliant minds, but their sacrifice had not been in vain. The Krill had been caught off guard, their arrogance momentarily shattered. "We need to capitalize on this," Anya told her officers. "The Krill are reeling. We need to hit them hard, before they regroup and adapt." She turned to Captain Jarek Kowalski, a grizzled veteran of countless battles. "Jarek, assemble a strike team. I want you to infiltrate a Krill outpost and gather intel on their vulnerabilities." Jarek nodded, his eyes glinting with a dangerous light. "Consider it done, Admiral." Meanwhile, Ambassador Khan continued her diplomatic offensive, reaching out to every corner of the galaxy. She shared the evidence of the Krill's brutality, the images of devastated human worlds, the recordings of their callous disregard for innocent lives. At first, her pleas fell on deaf ears. Many species feared the Krill's wrath, preferring to remain neutral in the conflict. But as the human resistance continued to defy the odds, as their ingenuity and determination became undeniable, the tide of opinion began to shift. Some species, moved by humanity's plight, began to offer covert support. They supplied weapons, intelligence, and safe havens for human refugees. Among them were the enigmatic Scythian, a telepathic race known for their wisdom and neutrality. Their leader, the Oracle, reached out to Ambassador Khan, offering a cryptic message: "The spark of defiance ignites the embers of hope. The underdog shall rise, for their spirit is unyielding." Layla was unsure how to interpret the Oracle's words, but she sensed a glimmer of hope. Perhaps the Scythian, with their vast knowledge and influence, could sway the galactic community to humanity's side. Back on Earth, the remnants of human civilization struggled to survive. Cities lay in ruins, resources were scarce, and the threat of Krill reprisals loomed large. Yet, the human spirit refused to be extinguished. Communities banded together, sharing what little they had. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to develop new technologies, repurposing salvaged Krill equipment and adapting to the harsh conditions. Farmers and agronomists experimented with new crops, finding ways to grow food in the contaminated soil. Even in the darkest of times, humanity found ways to cling to hope, to persevere, to resist. They knew that their fight was far from over, but they were determined to endure. They would not let the Krill extinguish the flame of human spirit. Deep within the labyrinthine corridors of a Krill dreadnought, Captain Ryl paced restlessly. The news of the human resistance's successful attack on the research facility had sent shockwaves through the Krill command. Ryl, eager to prove his worth, had volunteered to lead a retaliatory strike against a suspected human hideout. "Are you certain of the coordinates, Lieutenant?" Ryl asked, his mandibles clicking impatiently. "Yes, Captain," the subordinate replied, his antennae quivering nervously. "Our surveillance drones detected a surge of energy consistent with human technology in that sector." Ryl nodded, his multiple eyes scanning the tactical display. "Then let us make haste. We shall crush this nest of vermin and remind them of their place in the galactic order." The dreadnought, a monstrous vessel bristling with weaponry, warped into the designated sector, its arrival heralded by a ripple in space-time. The Krill ships fanned out, their sensors sweeping the surrounding asteroids and debris fields. "There," a Krill officer shouted, pointing to a blip on the screen. "A human vessel attempting to flee." Ryl grinned, a predatory glint in his eyes. "Pursue them. Let none escape." The Krill ships gave chase, their engines roaring as they accelerated towards the fleeing human transport. The transport, a battered freighter jury-rigged with makeshift defenses, struggled to outrun its pursuers. Inside the freighter, Jarek Kowalski and his strike team braced themselves for impact. They had been on a mission to gather intel on Krill vulnerabilities, but their cover had been blown. Now, their only hope was to delay the Krill long enough for the civilians on board to escape in the ship's lone shuttle. "Brace for impact," Jarek shouted as the Krill opened fire. The freighter shuddered under the barrage, its shields weakening with each hit. Jarek and his team returned fire, their weapons inflicting minor damage on the Krill ships. Mara, How much longer? Jarek asked, his voice strained. Mara, who had been working frantically on the ship's systems, replied, "Almost there. The shuttle's launch sequence is initiated." A klaxon blared as the shuttle, carrying the last of the civilians, detached from the freighter and sped away. Jarek and his team watched it go, a bittersweet feeling in their hearts. They had fulfilled their mission, but their own survival was far from certain. The Krill ships closed in, their weapons primed for the kill. Jarek, his face grim, turned to his team. "It's been an honor serving with you all," he said. They nodded, their faces etched with determination. They would fight to the end, knowing that their sacrifice would not be in vain. They were humanity's last line of defense, and they would not go down without a fight. The Krill opened fire, their weapons tearing through the freighter's hull. The ship exploded in a blinding flash, its debris scattering across the void. Ryl watched with satisfaction as the human vessel was obliterated. He had taught them a lesson about the futility of defying the Krill Empire. But little did he know that the seeds of resistance had already been sown, that the human spirit, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, would only grow stronger in the face of adversity. News of the freighter's destruction reached Admiral Petrova as the Dauntless navigated the treacherous asteroid field of the belt. A wave of grief washed over her, but she pushed it aside. There was no time for mourning, not yet. The war was far from over. "We've lost contact with Kowalski's team," Commander Singh reported, his voice somber. Anya nodded grimly. "They knew the risks. They were the best of us." She turned to Ambassador Khan. "Layla, we need to double down on our diplomatic efforts. The Krill think they can bully us into submission, but they're wrong. We need to show the galaxy that we're not going down without a fight." Layla nodded, her eyes filled with a steely determination. "I'm already working on it, Admiral. The Scythian Oracle has agreed to an audience. I'm hoping to convince them to take a more active role in the conflict." Anya raised an eyebrow. "The Scythian? They're notoriously neutral." "Desperate times call for desperate measures," Layla replied. "The Oracle's words suggest they may be more sympathetic to our cause than we initially thought." Meanwhile, in a hidden base on a remote moon, Mara Ramirez and her team worked tirelessly to refine their weapon technology. They had salvaged what they could from the destroyed facility, and they were now using Krill tech, reverse-engineered and repurposed, to enhance their own designs. "This power source," Mara said, holding up a glowing crystal, "it's incredible. It's more efficient than anything we've ever seen." Dr. Tanaka, his eyes sparkling with excitement, nodded. "The Krill are masters of energy manipulation. If we can harness their technology, we can level the playing field." The team worked day and night, fueled by adrenaline and a burning desire for revenge. They knew that the Krill would not rest until humanity was wiped out, but they were determined to make them pay dearly for every life they took. In the depths of space, Aisha Hassan, the Resistance's top hacker, infiltrated the Krill's communication network. She sifted through terabytes of encrypted data, searching for any information that could give humanity an edge. She discovered reports of growing unrest within the Krill ranks, whispers of doubt about the war's purpose and the high cost of victory. Aisha smiled, a mischievous glint in her eye. She had an idea, a way to sow discord among the enemy and further weaken their resolve. She began to craft a series of messages, disguised as internal Krill communications, subtly questioning the High Command's decisions and hinting at dissent among the lower ranks. The seeds of doubt, once planted, would take time to grow. But Aisha knew that even the mightiest empires could crumble from within if their foundations were shaken. Humanity might be on the back foot, but they were far from defeated. They had the will to fight, the ingenuity to adapt, and the spirit to endure, and that, in the end, would be their greatest weapon. The Scythian homeworld, a vibrant tapestry of lush forests and crystalline rivers, pulsed with an ethereal energy. Ambassador Khan stood on the precipice of a vast canyon, its depths shrouded in mist. The air thrummed with an almost tangible hum, a testament to the powerful psychic energy that permeated this sacred place. Beside her stood the Oracle, an ancient being of immense wisdom and serenity. Its translucent skin shimmered with an inner light, and its eyes, devoid of pupils, seemed to pierce the very depths of Layla's soul. "You come seeking our aid, human," the oracle's voice echoed in Layla's mind, a gentle symphony of thoughts and emotions. But why should the Scythian involve themselves in the affairs of a species they barely understand? Layla took a deep breath, summoning all her diplomatic skills. "We understand your neutrality, Oracle. The Scythian have always been a beacon of peace and wisdom in a galaxy rife with conflict. But the Krill's actions threaten the very fabric of galactic civilization. Their aggression knows no bounds, their cruelty no limits. If left unchecked, they will plunge the galaxy into a dark age of oppression and fear." The Oracle tilted its head, its gaze unwavering. "You paint a bleak picture, Ambassador. But humanity is young, impulsive. Perhaps this conflict is simply a test, a trial by fire to prove your worth." Layla shook her head. "This is not a test, Oracle. It is a genocide. The Krill are systematically exterminating our people, destroying our worlds. We are not asking for your warriors, Oracle. We are asking for your voice, your influence. Speak out against the Krill's atrocities. Rally the other species to our cause. Help us expose the Krill's lies and reveal the truth of their barbarity." The Oracle remained silent for a long moment, its mind seemingly lost in contemplation. Then it turned to Layla, a flicker of empathy in its eyes. "You speak with passion, Ambassador. Your words resonate with the echoes of countless oppressed voices throughout history. But passion alone is not enough. You must show the galaxy that humanity is worthy of its support, that you are not merely victims, but survivors, fighters, a force to be reckoned with." Layla nodded, understanding dawning in her eyes. "We will prove our worth, Oracle. We will not surrender, we will not yield. We will fight for our right to exist, for our place among the stars." The Oracle smiled, a ripple of warmth spreading through Layla's mind. "Then may the stars guide your path, Ambassador, and may your spirit burn bright, even in the darkest of nights." With those words, the Oracle turned and vanished into the mist, leaving Layla alone on the precipice. She gazed out at the vast expanse of the Scythian landscape, a newfound determination burning in her heart. The road ahead would be long and arduous, but she knew that humanity was not alone. They had allies, even in the most unexpected of places, and together they would rise against the darkness and forge a new dawn for their species. Back on Earth, the remnants of human civilization faced a daunting task, rebuilding in the face of overwhelming destruction. Cities lay in ruins, infrastructure was crippled, and the scars of war ran deep. Yet, amidst the desolation, a spark of hope flickered, fueled by the indomitable spirit of humanity. In the ravaged city of New London, a makeshift settlement had sprung up amidst the debris. Makeshift shelters cobbled together from salvaged materials dotted the landscape, a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. Children played among the ruins, their laughter a defiant echo against the backdrop of destruction. Among the survivors was a young woman named Emily Chen, a former architect who had lost her home and family in the Krill attack. Now, she found herself leading a team of volunteers, working tirelessly to rebuild their shattered community. "We need to prioritize shelter and sanitation," Emily told her team, her voice raspy from the dust and smoke that permeated the air. "We need to make this place habitable again." The volunteers nodded, their faces etched with determination. They were a diverse group, a microcosm of humanity itself. There were engineers, doctors, teachers, artists, all united by a common purpose, to rebuild their home and reclaim their lives. They scavenged for usable materials, repurposing anything they could find. Metal scraps became makeshift tools, broken glass was transformed into mosaics, and discarded Krill technology was reverse-engineered to provide power and communication. Emily, with her architectural expertise, envisioned a new city rising from the ashes, a city that was not only functional, but also beautiful, a testament to human creativity and resilience. She sketched her ideas on salvaged paper, her mind racing with possibilities. "We can't simply rebuild what was lost," she told her team. We need to create something better, something that reflects our spirit, our strength, our determination to survive." Her words resonated with the volunteers, inspiring them to push beyond their limits. They worked tirelessly, their hands blistered and their bodies aching, but their spirits unwavering. They knew that they were building more than just a city. They were building a symbol of hope, a beacon of defiance against the Krill and their tyranny. News of their efforts spread throughout the surviving human settlements, a testament to the power of human ingenuity and the unyielding will to survive. It was a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity could find a way to rise from the ashes, stronger and more determined than ever before. In the depths of space, the Dauntless navigated a treacherous nebula, its sensors straining to detect any sign of Krill patrols. Admiral Petrova stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the swirling clouds of gas and dust. She had received a coded message from Aisha Hassan, the Resistance hacker, and its contents were both troubling and intriguing. Aisha reports a growing discontent within the Krill ranks, Anya informed her officers. There are whispers of mutiny, doubts about the war's purpose, and even challenges to High Command's authority. Commander Singh whistled softly. "That's a significant development, Admiral. If we can exploit this unrest, we might be able to turn the tide." Anya nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "We need to tread carefully, though. We don't want to alert the Krill to Aisha's activities, but if we can amplify these whispers, sow discord among their ranks." She trailed off, her eyes gleaming with a strategic light. "Contact Ambassador Khan. Tell her to reach out to our allies, especially the Scythian. We need to coordinate our efforts, both on the diplomatic and military fronts." Meanwhile, Layla Khan had arrived on the Scythian homeworld for her audience with the Oracle. She stood before the ancient being, her heart pounding with anticipation. The Oracle's words had given her hope, but she knew that convincing the Scythian to take action would be no easy task. "You have witnessed the Krill's brutality firsthand, Oracle," Layla began, her voice filled with emotion. "You have seen the destruction they have wrought upon our worlds, the suffering they have inflicted on our people. I implore you, lend us your wisdom, your guidance. Help us rally the galactic community against this common enemy." The Oracle's eyes, devoid of pupils, seemed to gaze deep into Layla's soul. After a long silence, it spoke, its voice a gentle echo in Layla's mind. "The path to peace is often paved with sacrifice, Ambassador. To defeat the darkness, one must sometimes embrace the shadows." Layla frowned, unsure of the Oracle's meaning. "I don't understand." The Oracle tilted its head, a cryptic smile playing on its lips. "The Krill are not a monolithic entity, Ambassador. There are factions within their ranks, those who question the High Command's methods, those who yearn for a different path. Find those who share your desire for peace, and forge alliances where you can. The seeds of dissent have already been sown. It is up to you to nurture them, to help them bloom into a force for change." Layla's eyes widened with realization. The Oracle was suggesting a covert operation, a campaign to infiltrate the Krill Empire and turn their own people against them. It was a risky gamble, but the potential rewards were immense. If successful, it could not only weaken the Krill's war effort, but also sow the seeds of a lasting peace. Layla bowed her head in gratitude. "Thank you, Oracle. Your wisdom is a beacon in these dark times." As Layla left the Oracle's chamber, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but she was determined to follow it. For the sake of her people, for the future of the galaxy, she would embrace the shadows and turn the Krill's own weapons against them. Within the Krill Empire, a storm was brewing beneath the surface. Aisha Hassan's carefully crafted messages, disseminated through the Krill's own communication channels, had begun to take root. Whispers of doubt and discontent spread like wildfire among the lower ranks, fueled by the mounting casualties and the seemingly endless conflict. Captain Ryl, once a fervent believer in the Krill's righteous cause, found himself questioning his superior's decisions. The human resistance, which he had initially dismissed as insignificant, had proven to be far more tenacious and resourceful than he had anticipated. Their guerrilla tactics and unpredictable attacks had taken a heavy toll on Krill forces, and the morale of his crew was dwindling with each passing day. "Sir, we've intercepted another transmission from the Resistance," a communications officer reported, his antennae twitching nervously. "It appears to be a message from their leader, a woman named Petrova." Ryl leaned forward, his multiple eyes fixed on the holographic display. The message was a direct appeal to the Krill people, highlighting the human cost of the war and questioning the High Command's motives. "The Krill Empire claims to be a beacon of order and progress," Petrova's voice echoed through the bridge. "But what have you achieved through this senseless war? Your soldiers die in droves, your resources are depleted, and your reputation tarnished. Is this the legacy you wish to leave for your children?" Ryl felt a pang of guilt as he listened to Petrova's words. He had seen the devastation wrought by the war, the countless lives lost on both sides. He had witnessed the growing resentment among his own crew, their once unwavering loyalty now replaced with a simmering discontent. He turned to his second-in-command, a grizzled veteran named Kree. "What do you think, Kree? Is this war truly worth the cost?" Kree hesitated, his mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "The High Command assures us that victory is inevitable," he replied, his voice laced with doubt. "But the humans have proven to be a formidable foe. Their resilience and determination are unexpected." Ryl nodded slowly. "Unexpected indeed. Perhaps it's time we reconsider our approach. Perhaps there is a way to end this conflict without further bloodshed." Kree's eyes widened in surprise. "Captain, such talk is treasonous. The High Command would never tolerate dissent." Ryl's mandibles tightened into a grim line. "Then perhaps it's time for the High Command to be replaced," he muttered, his voice barely a whisper. A seed of rebellion had been planted in Ryl's mind, a seed that would soon grow into a full-fledged mutiny. The Krill Empire, once a monolithic entity, was beginning to fracture under the strain of war, and in the cracks, a glimmer of hope emerged for humanity and the rest of the galaxy. In a clandestine meeting on a neutral space station, Ambassador Khan met with a cloaked figure known only as the Whisperer, a representative of the Scythian Oracle. The Whisperer's face was obscured by a shimmering veil, and their voice was a soft, ethereal melody that resonated with Layla's mind. "The Oracle has foreseen a path, Ambassador Khan," the Whisperer said. "A path fraught with danger, but one that could lead to a brighter future for both your species and ours." Layla leaned forward, her eyes filled with anticipation. "Tell me everything." The Whisperer revealed the Oracle's plan, a multi-pronged approach that aimed to destabilize the Krill Empire from within and without. First, they would leverage Aisha Hassan's hacking skills to spread dissent and sow discord among the Krill ranks. Second, they would reach out to sympathetic Krill factions, offering them a chance to break free from the High Command's tyranny. Finally, they would coordinate with the human resistance, providing them with intelligence, resources, and strategic guidance. "This is a bold plan," Layla said, her voice filled with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "But it's also incredibly risky. If the Krill discover our involvement, they will surely retaliate with even greater force." The Whisperer nodded. "The Oracle is aware of the risks, Ambassador, but sometimes the greatest risks yield the greatest rewards. Humanity has proven its resilience and ingenuity. You have the potential to change the course of this war, to forge a new path for the galaxy." Layla took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that this was a turning point, a moment that could determine the fate of her species. She had to trust the Oracle's wisdom, to believe in humanity's potential to overcome even the most daunting challenges. "We accept your guidance, Whisperer," Layla said, her voice firm and resolute. "Tell the Oracle that humanity will not fail." The Whisperer smiled, a ripple of approval passing through their veiled face. "Then may the stars guide your path, Ambassador, and may your courage illuminate the darkness that surrounds us." With those words, the Whisperer vanished, leaving Layla alone in the dimly lit chamber. She stood there for a long moment, absorbing the weight of the Oracle's words. The path ahead was fraught with peril, but she knew that humanity was not alone. They had the Scythian, the Resistance, and countless other allies who believed in their cause. Together, they would fight for a brighter future, a future where all species could coexist in peace and harmony. As Layla left the space station, a renewed sense of purpose filled her heart. She had a mission to fulfill, a message to spread, a hope to ignite. The galaxy was watching, and humanity would not disappoint. The sprawling Krill capital planet, a monolithic testament to their empire's might, buzzed with an undercurrent of unease. In the heart of the city, within the towering spires of the High Command's fortress, High Commander Zark slammed his fist on the conference table, his chitinous exoskeleton rattling with rage. "The humans continue to defy us at every turn," he roared, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Our forces are being stretched thin, our resources dwindle, and yet these vermin continue to resist." Counselor Zyl, a serpentine figure with glistening scales, hissed in agreement. "Their resilience is unexpected. We must crush them utterly, before their defiance spreads like a plague throughout the galaxy." Captain Ryl, standing at attention beside the table, felt a pang of unease. He had witnessed firsthand the tenacity of the human resistance, their ability to adapt and overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. The humans were not the weak, insignificant creatures he had once believed them to be. "Perhaps we should reconsider our approach," Ryl ventured, his voice barely a whisper. Zark's multiple eyes snapped towards him, burning with fury. "Reconsider? You dare question the wisdom of the High Command, Captain?" Ryl stood his ground, his mandibles clicking in defiance. "I merely suggest that a more nuanced strategy might be necessary. The humans are not easily cowed. Their spirit is." "Their spirit is irrelevant," Zark bellowed, his voice thundering through the chamber. "They are insects, pests to be eradicated. We shall continue our campaign with unwavering resolve until every last human is wiped from existence." Ryl felt a wave of revulsion wash over him. He had always been a loyal soldier, but Zark's blind rage and disregard for the lives of his own troops sickened him. He glanced at Kree, his second in command, and saw a flicker of agreement in his eyes. "Sir," Ryl began, choosing his words carefully, "I believe there may be a more efficient way to deal with the human problem. We have received reports of growing discontent among their ranks, factions that oppose their current leadership. Perhaps we can exploit these divisions, turn them against each other, and bring about their downfall from within." Zark's mandibles twitched in interest. "Explain yourself, Captain." Ryl outlined his plan, a strategy that involved covert operations, disinformation campaigns, and targeted assassinations. He proposed sowing discord among the human resistance, pitting different factions against each other, and undermining their trust in their leaders. Zark listened intently, his multiple eyes narrowed in contemplation. Finally, he nodded slowly. "Your plan has merit, Captain. Proceed with caution, but be assured that the High Command will provide you with all the resources you need to succeed." Ryl suppressed a sigh of relief. He had bought himself some time, a chance to explore a different path, a path that might lead to a less destructive outcome. He knew that the risks were high, but the potential rewards were even greater. If he could succeed in turning the humans against each other, he could not only end the war, but also potentially reshape the balance of power within the Krill Empire itself. In the heart of the human resistance, tensions simmered beneath the surface. The constant struggle for survival, the mounting losses, and the uncertainty of the future had taken their toll on the once united front. Factions emerged, each with their own vision of how to defeat the Krill and rebuild their shattered civilization. The pragmatists, led by Admiral Petrova, advocated for a cautious, strategic approach. They believed in utilizing guerrilla tactics, exploiting Krill weaknesses, and building alliances with other species to eventually wear down the enemy. The radicals, on the other hand, favored a more aggressive approach. They wanted to strike at the heart of the Krill Empire, to take the fight to their homeworld and force them to surrender. They were led by a charismatic young leader named Marcus, a former soldier who had lost his family in the initial Krill attack. Marcus' fiery speeches and promises of swift retribution resonated with many who had suffered under the Krill's tyranny. His followers, mostly young and idealistic, were eager for revenge and a chance to reclaim their lost glory. The moderates, led by Dr. Tanaka, sought a middle ground. They believed that technological innovation was the key to victory, but they also recognized the importance of diplomacy and alliances. They worked tirelessly to develop new weapons and defenses, while also advocating for peaceful solutions whenever possible. The tension between these factions reached a boiling point during a heated meeting in a hidden bunker on a desolate asteroid. Admiral Petrova, her face etched with worry, addressed the assembled leaders. "We are at a crossroads," she said, her voice grave. "The Krill are relentless, and our resources are dwindling. We must find a way to unite, or we will surely perish." Marcus scoffed, his eyes blazing with defiance. "Unity? You speak of unity when you cling to your outdated tactics and refuse to strike at the heart of the enemy? We need to take the fight to them, to show them that humanity will not be subjugated." Dr. Tanaka raised a hand, his voice calm but firm. "Aggression without strategy is folly. Marcus, we must be patient, methodical. We must build our strength, forge alliances, and strike when the time is right." The debate raged for hours, voices rising and tempers flaring. Accusations flew back and forth, and old wounds were reopened. The Krill, meanwhile, watched from the shadows, their agents feeding the flames of discord, amplifying the divisions within the human resistance. As the meeting dissolved into chaos, Anya Petrova felt a sense of despair wash over her. Was this the end of humanity's hope? Would they tear themselves apart before the Krill even had a chance to finish the job? She knew that the fate of their species hung in the balance, and the time for unity was running out. As tensions escalated within the human resistance, Captain Ryl found himself navigating a treacherous path of his own. He had confided in Krill, his second in command, about his growing doubts regarding the war and the High Command's leadership. Together, they had initiated secret discussions with other like-minded Krill officers, forming a clandestine network of dissenters. "We cannot continue on this destructive path," Ryl declared during a clandestine meeting aboard his dreadnought. "The humans are not the enemy we were led to believe. They are resourceful, resilient, and fiercely protective of their own. They pose no threat to the Krill Empire unless we continue to provoke them." Krill nodded in agreement. "The High Command's obsession with eradicating the humans is irrational. It's costing us lives, resources, and our very souls." The other officers present, a mix of veterans and young idealists, murmured their assent. They had all witnessed the horrors of war, the senseless loss of life, and the erosion of the Krill's once proud traditions. They yearned for a return to peace and stability, a future where the Krill could focus on scientific advancement and cultural enrichment rather than endless conflict. "We must act," Ryl declared, his voice filled with determination. "We must expose the High Command's lies and present a viable alternative to this destructive war." The officers discussed various strategies, from leaking classified information to the galactic community to staging a coup d'etat against the High Command. They knew that the risks were immense, but they were willing to take them for the sake of their people and the future of the Krill Empire. Meanwhile, Aisha Hassan, the human hacker, continued her digital offensive, planting seeds of doubt and discord throughout the Krill communication network. She hacked into personal datapads, spreading rumors of corruption and incompetence among the High Command. She intercepted military orders, subtly altering them to create confusion and delay Krill operations. She even managed to hack into the Krill's propaganda channels, broadcasting messages of peace and unity, subtly undermining the High Command's narrative of human inferiority. Her efforts were not unnoticed. The Krill's Cyber Warfare Division, a vast network of electronic surveillance and countermeasures, detected the anomalies and traced them back to their source. A team of elite Krill hackers was dispatched to hunt down the mysterious intruder, unaware that they were playing right into Aisha's hands. Aisha, anticipating their move, had set up a series of digital traps and decoys. She lured the Krill hackers deeper into the network, leading them on a merry chase through a labyrinth of false trails and misleading information. In the process, she gathered valuable intelligence on the Krill's cyber defenses, their vulnerabilities, and their plans for future attacks. The battle for the future of the galaxy was not only being fought on the physical battlefield, but also in the digital realm. And in this shadowy theater of war, humanity had a secret weapon, a young hacker whose skills and ingenuity were proving to be a formidable force. In the human settlement of New London, a glimmer of hope emerged amidst the ruins. Emily Chen and her team of volunteers had made significant progress in rebuilding their community. Makeshift shelters had been replaced with sturdy, insulated structures, powered by repurposed Krill technology. Hydroponic farms sprouted fresh produce, providing much-needed sustenance for the survivors. The centerpiece of their efforts was a newly constructed community center, a beacon of hope in the ravaged city. Its walls were adorned with vibrant murals depicting scenes of human resilience and triumph. Inside, children attended makeshift classrooms, their laughter echoing through the halls. Adults gathered for town hall meetings, discussing the future of their community and the best way to contribute to the war effort. Emily, though exhausted from the relentless work, felt a sense of pride as she surveyed the bustling settlement. "We've come a long way," she told Mara Ramirez, who had joined her team after the destruction of the research facility. "But we still have a lot to do." Mara nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. "The Krill are still out there," she said, her voice grim. "We can't let our guard down." Emily placed a hand on Mara's shoulder. "I know, but we can't let fear control us. We have to keep moving forward, keep building, keep fighting for our future." Mara smiled, a glimmer of hope returning to her eyes. "You're right, Emily. We won't give up. We'll show the Krill what humanity is made of." The two women embraced, their shared determination a testament to the strength of the human spirit. They knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, but they also knew that they were not alone. Humanity was fighting back on every front, and their resilience would not be easily extinguished. Meanwhile, in a secret laboratory hidden deep beneath the Earth's surface, Dr. Tanaka and his team worked tirelessly on a new project. They had analyzed the Krill weapon technology salvaged from the destroyed facility, and they were now using that knowledge to develop their own countermeasures. "We need to find a way to disrupt their energy signatures," Tanaka said, his eyes focused on a holographic display of a Krill weapon firing. "If we can destabilize their energy matrix, we can render their weapons useless." His team, a diverse group of scientists and engineers from all corners of the globe, nodded in agreement. They had been working day and night, fueled by a sense of urgency and a desire to avenge their fallen comrades. "We're close," said a young physicist named Anya Patel, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "I think I've found a way to create a frequency that can disrupt their energy flow." Tanaka's eyes widened with excitement. "Test it," he ordered. "We need to know if it works." Anya activated the device, a small, unassuming box that emitted a high-pitched whine. The holographic display of the Krill weapon flickered, then sputtered before finally going dark. A cheer erupted from the lab. They had done it. They had found a way to neutralize the Krill's most powerful weapon. Aboard a Krill battlecruiser patrolling the outskirts of a human-controlled system, unrest simmered beneath the surface. Whispers of dissent, fueled by Aisha's digital campaign and Captain Ryl's covert machinations, had reached the ears of the crew. In the ship's mess hall, a group of Krill soldiers huddled together, their mandibles clicking in hushed tones. "Have you heard the rumors?" one soldier asked, his antennae twitching nervously. "About the High Command's incompetence? About the senselessness of this war?" Another replied, his voice barely a whisper. "I've heard worse," a third chimed in. "They say some officers are planning a mutiny." The others gasped, their multiple eyes widening in shock. Mutiny was a grave offense in the Krill Empire, punishable by death. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it was taking root. Meanwhile, in the captain's quarters, Captain Gorak, the ship's commander, paced restlessly. He had always been a loyal soldier, But recent events had shaken his faith in the High Command. The human resistance's unexpected resilience, the mounting casualties among his own crew, and the whispers of discontent all contributed to a growing sense of unease. He had received a coded message from Captain Ryl, outlining his plan to expose the High Command's corruption and incompetence. Gorak was hesitant at first, but the more he thought about it, the more he realized that Ryl might be right. The Krill Empire was on a dangerous path, and something had to change. Gorak made a decision. He contacted his most trusted officers and shared Ryl's message with them. To his surprise, they were receptive. They too had grown disillusioned with the war and the High Command's leadership. "We cannot allow this madness to continue," Gorak declared, his voice firm and resolute. "We must join Captain Ryl and his allies. We must take a stand for the future of our empire." The officers nodded in agreement. They knew the risks, but they were willing to take them. They had seen firsthand the devastating consequences of the High Command's misguided policies. They had lost friends, comrades, and loved ones in this senseless war. They were Krill, yes, but they were also soldiers, sworn to protect their people and uphold the true values of their empire. And those values were being trampled upon by the High Command's thirst for power and conquest. As Gorak and his officers pledged their allegiance to Ryl's cause, a wave of hope washed over them. They were not alone in their dissent. There were others who shared their concerns, others who were willing to fight for a better future. The Krill Empire might be on the brink of a civil war, but out of the chaos, a new order could emerge, one that was more just, more compassionate, and more aligned with the true spirit of the Krill people. The Scythian homeworld, a haven of tranquility and wisdom, became a hub of clandestine activity. Ambassador Khan, under the guidance of the Oracle and the Whisperer, orchestrated a delicate dance of diplomacy and subterfuge. She met with representatives of various species, sharing intelligence on the Krill's atrocities and appealing to their sense of justice and compassion. The Scythian themselves, though traditionally neutral, were moved by humanity's plight. They utilized their vast network of informants and telepathic abilities to gather information on Krill movements, troop morale, and potential weaknesses in their defenses. "The Krill's arrogance is their Achilles' heel," the Whisperer told Layla during one of their secret meetings. "They believe themselves to be invincible, but their empire is built on a foundation of fear and oppression. We must expose their vulnerabilities, both to their own people and to the rest of the galaxy." Layla nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "We need to create a narrative, a counter-narrative to the Krill's propaganda. We need to show the galaxy the truth about their brutality, their disregard for life, their insatiable thirst for power." The Whisperer smiled, a ripple of approval passing through their veiled face. "The truth is a powerful weapon, Ambassador. It can shatter illusions, ignite revolutions, and change the course of history." With the Scythians' help, Layla orchestrated a series of covert operations. She leaked classified Krill documents to sympathetic journalists, exposing their war crimes and their plans for further conquest. She worked with resistance fighters to smuggle holographic recordings of Krill atrocities to the galactic media, shocking the public and turning public opinion against the Empire. The Krill, caught off guard by this sudden onslaught of negative publicity, scrambled to contain the damage. They launched their own propaganda campaign, attempting to discredit the leaks and portray humanity as the aggressors. But the truth was out, and it was spreading like wildfire. Meanwhile, on a hidden asteroid base, Mara Ramirez and her team made a breakthrough in their weapon research. They had successfully developed a prototype device that could neutralize Krill energy weapons, rendering them harmless. The device, dubbed the Equalizer, emitted a disruptive frequency that scrambled the Krill's energy matrices, causing their weapons to malfunction and overload. "This could be a game changer," Mara exclaimed, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "If we can mass-produce these equalizers and distribute them to the Resistance, we can level the playing field and turn the tide of the war." Dr. Tanaka, his face etched with a cautious optimism, nodded. "It's a promising development, but we need to test it in the field, under real combat conditions. We need to make sure it's reliable and effective." Mara volunteered to lead a mission to infiltrate a Krill outpost and test the equalizer in action. She knew the risks were high, but she was determined to do whatever it took to give humanity a fighting chance. She had lost too much to the Krill, and she would not rest until they were defeated. As the various threads of resistance converged, a new hope dawned for humanity. The Krill Empire, once seemingly invincible, was beginning to show cracks in its facade. The seeds of dissent had been sown, and a storm was brewing, a storm that would soon shake the very foundations of the galaxy. The Krill High Command, alarmed by the growing dissent within their ranks and the negative publicity tarnishing their image, convened an emergency meeting. High Commander Zark, his chitinous exoskeleton radiating fury, addressed the assembled council members. "We are facing a crisis," he declared, his voice booming through the chamber. "The humans, those insignificant vermin, have somehow managed to turn the tide of public opinion against us. Our own soldiers are questioning our motives, our tactics, our very right to rule." Councillor Zyl, his serpentine form coiled tightly, hissed in agreement. "The situation is dire, High Commander. We must act decisively to quell this dissent and reassert our authority." Captain Ryl, his face carefully composed, listened intently. He had infiltrated the High Command's inner circle, using his position to gather intelligence and undermine their efforts from within. He knew that the time was ripe for action. "I propose a show of force," Ryl interjected, his voice smooth and measured. "We must remind the galaxy of our might, our resolve. We must crush the human resistance once and for all, and silence any who dare question our authority." Zark's mandibles clicked approvingly. "A sound proposal, Captain. I shall personally lead a fleet to Earth, the heart of the human infestation. We shall raze their cities to the ground, exterminate their leaders, and make an example of them for all to see." Zyl nodded in agreement. "A fitting punishment for their insolence. Let the galaxy tremble before the might of the Krill Empire." Ryl suppressed a smirk. Zark's arrogance and bloodlust were playing right into his hands. The High Commander's reckless actions would only further alienate the Krill people and strengthen the Resistance's resolve. As the High Command finalized their plans for a devastating attack on Earth, Ryl discreetly sent a coded message to Ambassador Khan, informing her of the impending assault. He knew that this information would be crucial for the Resistance, giving them a chance to prepare and potentially turn the tables on their oppressors. Layla received the message with a mixture of dread and determination. The Krill were about to unleash their full fury on Earth, but she also knew that this could be their chance to strike a decisive blow. She immediately contacted Admiral Petrova, relaying the intelligence and urging her to prepare for the worst. Anya, grim-faced but resolute, issued orders to mobilize the human fleet and rally the resistance cells scattered across the galaxy. She knew that the coming battle would be a defining moment for humanity, a test of their courage, their ingenuity, and their unwavering spirit. As the Krill Armada gathered in the darkness of space, a storm of epic proportions was brewing. The fate of humanity, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. But one thing was certain: the humans would not go down without a fight. They would fight for their home, for their freedom, for their very right to exist. And they would do so with the ferocity and determination that had defined their species for millennia. A tense anticipation settled over the human territories as news of the impending Krill attack spread. Admiral Petrova, her face etched with grim determination, rallied her forces, preparing for the fight of their lives. The human fleet, though vastly outnumbered and outgunned, had been bolstered by the technological advancements made by Dr. Tanaka's team. The equalizers, now mass-produced and distributed among the fleet, gave them a fighting chance against the Krill's formidable energy weapons. On Earth, Emily Chen led the evacuation of New London, guiding the survivors to hidden shelters deep beneath the city's ruins. She had worked with engineers to reinforce these shelters, equipping them with life support systems, food supplies, and even makeshift classrooms for the children. "We may lose the city," Emily told the frightened faces gathered around her, "but we will not lose our spirit. We will endure, we will rebuild, and we will reclaim our home." Her words, spoken with unwavering conviction, instilled a sense of hope and defiance in the hearts of the survivors. They knew that the Krill would try to break them, but they also knew that they would not go down without a fight. Meanwhile, on a remote asteroid base, Mara Ramirez prepared for her mission to infiltrate a Krill outpost and test the equalizer under combat conditions. She had assembled a small team of skilled operatives, each with their own unique talents and expertise. "This is it," Mara said, addressing her team in the pre-mission briefing room. "This is our chance to prove the equalizer's effectiveness and strike a blow against the Krill. We must be swift, silent, and deadly." Her team nodded, their faces grim but determined. They knew that this was a suicide mission, but they were willing to sacrifice themselves for the greater good of humanity. As the Krill Armada approached Earth, the human fleet, scattered across the system, prepared for a desperate last stand. Anya Petrova, aboard the Dauntless, issued her final orders. "All ships, prepare to engage," she said, her voice ringing through the comms. "This is our home, our planet, our legacy. We will fight for it with every fiber of our being. We will not surrender, we will not yield. We will show the Krill that humanity is not to be trifled with." The human ships, outnumbered and outmatched, braced themselves for impact. The Krill fleet, confident in their overwhelming firepower, unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, filling the space around Earth with blinding light and deafening explosions. But as the Krill weapons struck their targets, something unexpected happened. The human ships, equipped with the equalizers, absorbed the energy blasts, their shields shimmering and deflecting the deadly rays. The Krill, stunned by this unforeseen development, hesitated, their attack faltering. In that moment of hesitation, the human fleet launched their counteroffensive. FTL fighters swarmed the Krill ships, their laser cannons blazing. Human cruisers and destroyers, their shields holding strong, unleashed a volley of missiles and railgun fire. The battle for Earth had begun, and the humans, against all odds, were holding their own. The battle for Earth raged on, a symphony of destruction and defiance. Human pilots, their nerves honed by countless simulations and countless losses, weaved through the Krill formations, exploiting their newfound advantage. The equalizers, humming with disruptive energy, turned the Krill's once mighty weapons into sputtering fireworks. In the chaos, Mara Ramirez and her team made their daring infiltration of a Krill outpost on the moon. Utilizing stolen Krill cloaking technology, their ship slipped past the enemy's defenses undetected. Once inside, they planted a network of EMP devices designed to disable the outpost's communication and defense systems. Mara, armed with a prototype equalizer rifle, led the charge, her heart pounding with a mix of adrenaline and fear. The Krill, caught by surprise, scrambled to respond, but their weapons malfunctioned and sputtered under the equalizer's influence. In the ensuing firefight, Mara's team moved with lethal precision, taking down Krill soldiers with their silenced weapons and disabling critical systems with their EMP grenades. The outpost, once a bastion of Krill power, was quickly plunged into chaos. As the team fought their way towards the central command center, Mara's mind raced. She knew that their success here would not only deal a significant blow to the Krill, but also provide invaluable data on the equalizer's effectiveness in combat. The lives of countless humans depended on the success of this mission. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the human resistance fighters, inspired by the fleet's unexpected resilience, launched their own counterattacks. They emerged from their hidden bunkers and underground tunnels, armed with makeshift weapons and a burning desire for revenge. In the ruins of New London, Emily Chen rallied the survivors, urging them to fight for their home. "We will not cower in fear," she cried, her voice echoing through the shattered streets. "We will rise up and reclaim what is ours." The humans, fueled by rage and desperation, fought with a ferocity that surprised even themselves. They ambushed Krill patrols, sabotaged their supply lines, and harassed their outposts. Every small victory, every Krill life taken, fueled their determination to keep fighting. As the battle raged on multiple fronts, a sense of hope began to spread throughout the human territories. The Krill, once seemingly invincible, were now on the defensive, their forces stretched thin, their morale waning. The tide was turning, and humanity, against all odds, was beginning to believe that they could actually win this war. In the Krill-occupied city of Paris, a tense standoff unfolded in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower, now adorned with the Krill Empire's emblem. A squadron of Krill soldiers, their exoskeletons gleaming under the artificial lights, surrounded a group of human resistance fighters, their faces grim and determined. Leading the humans was a young woman named Elise Dubois, a former history professor turned freedom fighter. Her eyes blazed with defiance as she addressed the Krill commander, her voice echoing through the deserted streets. "We will not surrender," she declared, her words ringing with the conviction of a true patriot. "You can destroy our cities, you can slaughter our people, but you will never break our spirit. We will fight for our freedom, for our home, for our very right to exist." The Krill commander, his mandibles clicking in amusement, raised his energy rifle. "Your defiance is futile, human. You are outnumbered, outmatched, and out of time. Lay down your weapons and surrender, or face annihilation." Elise tightened her grip on her pulse rifle, a weapon salvaged from a fallen Krill soldier. "We will never surrender," she repeated, her voice unwavering. "You come for humans, you better kill us all." The Krill commander hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. He had been trained to believe in the Krill's superiority, but the humans' unwavering courage and determination gave him pause. Was this truly a species worthy of extermination? Before he could make a decision, a blinding flash of light erupted from the rooftops surrounding the square. A volley of energy bolts, not from Krill weapons, but from human-made equalizers, struck the Krill soldiers, their armor shimmering and deflecting the deadly rays. Chaos erupted as the Krill ranks faltered, their weapons malfunctioning and exploding in their hands. Elise and her team seized the opportunity, their pulse rifles blazing as they charged into the disarrayed Krill formation. The battle was fierce but brief. The Krill, caught off guard and their weapons disabled, were quickly overwhelmed. Elise, her face streaked with sweat and grime, stood over the fallen Krill commander, her pulse rifle trained on his head. "This is for my family," she whispered, her voice trembling with rage. "This is for my city. This is for humanity." She pulled the trigger, ending the commander's life with a single shot. Her team cheered, their cries of victory echoing through the streets of Paris. But their celebration was short-lived. They knew that this was just one small victory in a long and brutal war. The Krill would not give up easily, and many more battles lay ahead. But for now, they had tasted victory, and it was sweet. It was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a beacon of hope in the face of overwhelming odds. Humanity would not be extinguished. They would fight on, they would endure, and they would reclaim their rightful place in the galaxy. The battle for Earth raged on, a symphony of destruction and defiance. Human pilots, their nerves honed by countless simulations and countless losses, weaved through the Krill formations, exploiting their newfound advantage. The equalizers, humming with disruptive energy, turned the Krill's once mighty weapons into sputtering fireworks. In the chaos, Mara Ramirez and her team made their daring infiltration of a Krill outpost on the moon. Utilizing stolen Krill cloaking technology, their ship slipped past the enemy's defenses undetected. Once inside, they planted a network of EMP devices designed to disable the outpost's communication and defense systems. Mara, armed with a prototype equalizer rifle, led the charge, her heart pounding with a mix of adrenaline and fear. The Krill, caught by surprise, scrambled to respond, but their weapons malfunctioned and sputtered under the equalizer's influence. In the ensuing firefight, Mara's team moved with lethal precision, taking down Krill soldiers with their silenced weapons and disabling critical systems with their EMP grenades. The outpost, once a bastion of Krill power, was quickly plunged into chaos. As the team fought their way towards the central command center, Mara's mind raced. She knew that their success here would not only deal a significant blow to the Krill, but also provide invaluable data on the equalizer's effectiveness in combat. The lives of countless humans depended on the success of this mission. Meanwhile, back on Earth, The human resistance fighters, inspired by the fleet's unexpected resilience, launched their own counterattacks. They emerged from their hidden bunkers and underground tunnels, armed with makeshift weapons and a burning desire for revenge. In the ruins of New London, Emily Chen rallied the survivors, urging them to fight for their home. "We will not cower in fear," she cried, her voice echoing through the shattered streets. "We will rise up and reclaim what is ours." The humans, fueled by rage and desperation, fought with a ferocity that surprised even themselves. They ambushed Krill patrols, sabotaged their supply lines, and harassed their outposts. Every small victory, every Krill life taken, fueled their determination to keep fighting. As the battle raged on multiple fronts, a sense of hope began to spread throughout the human territories. The Krill, once seemingly invincible, were now on the defensive, their forces stretched thin, their morale waning. The tide was turning, and humanity, against all odds, was beginning to believe that they could actually win this war. The battle for Earth raged on, with neither side willing to yield. In the skies above, human pilots, fueled by a desperate hope and armed with their equalizer technology, engaged in a deadly dance with the Krill Armada. The once overwhelming firepower of the Krill ships sputtered and faltered, their energy weapons disrupted by the human countermeasures. Explosions blossomed in the void, debris raining down on the battered planet below. On the surface, the human resistance fighters, emboldened by the fleet's unexpected resilience, continued their guerrilla campaign. They struck at Krill outposts, ambushed patrols, and disrupted supply lines. Their knowledge of the terrain and their unwavering determination proved to be a formidable weapon against the technologically superior Krill. In New London, Emily Chen and her team emerged from their underground shelters, armed with salvaged weapons and the knowledge that their home was under siege. They joined the fight, their architectural skills proving surprisingly useful in navigating the ruined city and setting up ambushes for unsuspecting Krill patrols. "We may have lost our buildings," Emily shouted to her comrades as they took cover behind a toppled statue, "but we haven't lost our city. This is our home, and we will defend it to the last breath." Her words resonated with the other fighters, their faces grim but determined. They had lost so much, but their spirit remained unbroken. They would not let the Krill take what little they had left. Meanwhile, on the Krill flagship, High Commander Zark watched the battle unfold with growing frustration. The humans, whom he had dismissed as insignificant pests, were proving to be a far greater challenge than he had anticipated. Their resistance was fierce, their tactics unpredictable, and their new weapon technology was causing significant damage to his fleet. He turned to Captain Ryl, his mandibles clicking in agitation. "What is the meaning of this, Captain? I was assured that the humans would be easily crushed. Yet they continue to defy us at every turn." Ryl, his face carefully composed, replied, "The humans are more resilient than we anticipated, High Commander. But rest assured, we will adapt. We will overcome." Inwardly, Ryl seethed with satisfaction. Zark's arrogance and impatience were playing right into his hands. The longer the battle raged, the more the Krill's morale would crumble, and the more support his own faction would gain among the disillusioned ranks. The battle for Earth was far from over, but the tide was slowly turning. Humanity, though outnumbered and outgunned, had found a way to fight back. Their courage, ingenuity, and unwavering spirit were proving to be a formidable weapon, one that the Krill had sorely underestimated. Deep within the Krill Armada, a silent rebellion was taking shape. Captain Ryl and his network of dissenters had been quietly working to undermine the High Command's authority, spreading whispers of discontent and sowing seeds of doubt among the ranks. In the dimly lit engine room of a Krill cruiser, a group of engineers huddled together, their mandibles clicking in hushed whispers. They were part of Ryl's network, loyal to the ideals of the Krill Empire, but disillusioned by the High Command's warmongering and disregard for the lives of their own people. "The humans are not our enemy," one engineer, a veteran named Clack, declared. "They are a resourceful and resilient species, worthy of our respect, not our contempt." The others nodded in agreement. They had seen the devastating effects of the war on their own families and communities. They longed for a return to peace and stability, a future where the Krill could focus on scientific advancement and cultural enrichment rather than endless conflict. Captain Ryl has a plan, another engineer, a young idealist named Jex, whispered. He believes we can change the course of this war, but we need to act now, before it's too late. The engineers discussed their options, their minds racing with possibilities. They could sabotage the ship's systems, delay the attack on Earth, and give the humans a chance to prepare. They could even turn their weapons against the High Command's flagship, sparking a mutiny and forcing a change in leadership. As they debated their course of action, a message flashed across their console. It was from Captain Ryl, a coded transmission outlining the details of his plan. The time for hesitation was over. The moment of truth had arrived. Meanwhile, aboard the Dauntless, Admiral Petrova received an encrypted transmission from Captain Ryl. It contained vital information about the Krill fleet's composition, their attack strategy, and their vulnerabilities. Ryl had risked his life to provide this intelligence, a testament to his growing disillusionment with the High Command and his desire for a peaceful resolution. Anya studied the data, her mind racing as she formulated a new battle plan. The Krill's overconfidence and their reliance on brute force had created blind spots that the humans could exploit. She knew that this battle would be a gamble, a desperate roll of the dice. But she also knew that humanity's survival depended on it. All ships, Anya's voice boomed through the comms, her tone resolute and unwavering. Prepare for a coordinated counterattack. We will use the Krill's arrogance against them. We will strike at their weaknesses, disrupt their formations, and force them to retreat. This is our chance to turn the tide of this war. Let us show the galaxy what humanity is capable of. The human fleet, scattered across the system, received the message with a surge of adrenaline and a renewed sense of purpose. They had been pushed to the brink, but they were not broken. They were humans, and they would fight to the last breath for their home, their freedom, and their future. The Krill Armada, a terrifying spectacle of gleaming metal and pulsating energy, emerged from hyperspace above Earth, their arrival casting a long shadow over the battered planet. High Commander Zark, his mandibles clicking with anticipation, surveyed the scene from the bridge of his flagship. He saw the ruined cities, the scorched landscapes, the scattered remnants of human resistance. A cruel smile spread across his face. Pathetic, he sneered. These humans are nothing but insects, clinging to a dying world. We shall crush them utterly and make an example of them for all who dare defy the Krill Empire. He turned to his communications officer. Broadcast our message to the human vermin. Tell them that their time is up, that their resistance is futile, and that their only hope is to surrender unconditionally. The message was transmitted on all frequencies, its harsh, guttural tones echoing through the human settlements. It was a message of despair designed to break their spirits and force them to submit. But the humans, hardened by years of war and fueled by a burning desire for revenge, refused to yield. Admiral Petrova, aboard the Dauntless, listened to the Krill's ultimatum with a cold fury in her eyes. They think they can intimidate us, she snarled. They think they can break our will. They are sorely mistaken. She turned to her crew, her voice ringing with determination. This is our moment, our chance to prove to the galaxy that humanity will not be extinguished. We will fight for our home, for our freedom, for our very right to exist. We will show the Krill the true meaning of courage and sacrifice. The human fleet, scattered across the system, rallied to the call. Their ships, battered but defiant, emerged from their hiding places, their engines roaring as they accelerated towards the Krill Armada. The equalizers hummed with power, ready to disrupt the enemy's devastating energy weapons. On the surface, the human resistance fighters emerged from their shelters and underground tunnels, their weapons at the ready. They had been waiting for this moment, the chance to strike back at their oppressors. They knew that the odds were stacked against them, but they also knew that they were fighting for something greater than themselves, something worth dying for. In the skies above Earth, the battle raged with renewed intensity. Human fighters, their wings emblazoned with a Terran Federation emblem, engaged Krill interceptors in a deadly aerial ballet. Laser fire streaked through the void, explosions blossomed like deadly flowers, and the air crackled with the energy of 1,000 suns. On the ground, the Resistance fighters launched hit-and-run attacks, ambushing Krill patrols, sabotaging their vehicles, and picking off stragglers. They fought with a ferocity born of desperation and a burning hatred for their oppressors. In the chaos of battle, the Krill found themselves on unfamiliar ground. Their superior technology, once their greatest asset, was now failing them. Their weapons malfunctioned, their communications were disrupted, and their formations fell into disarray. The humans, once underestimated, had become a formidable foe, their resilience and determination exceeding all expectations. High Commander Zark watched the unfolding chaos with a mixture of rage and disbelief. His grand vision of a swift, decisive victory had crumbled before his eyes, replaced by a bitter stalemate. The humans, those tenacious pests, had not only survived his initial onslaught, but had dared to fight back, their defiance a burning ember in the face of his empire's might. "This is unacceptable," Zark roared, his voice echoing through the bridge of his flagship. "I demand a full report on the status of our weapon systems. Why are they malfunctioning? Why are we losing so many ships?" His subordinates scrambled to obey, their antennae twitching nervously as they relayed the grim news. The equalizers, the humans' new weapon, were proving to be far more effective than anyone had anticipated. They were disrupting the Krill's energy matrices, causing their weapons to misfire and their shields to collapse. Zark's mandibles clenched in frustration. He had underestimated the humans, their ingenuity, their resilience, their sheer will to survive. But he would not be defeated, not while he still drew breath. He would adapt, he would overcome, he would crush this rebellion with an iron fist. "Divert all available power to the forward cannons," Zark ordered, his voice cold and calculating. "Prepare for a full-scale bombardment. We will reduce their cities to ashes, their resistance to dust. We will show them the true meaning of fear." The Krill flagship shuddered as its massive cannons charged, drawing energy from the ship's core. A blinding beam of pure energy erupted from the forward cannons, slicing through the void and impacting the Earth's surface. Cities crumbled, mountains shattered, and oceans boiled under the relentless onslaught. The human defenders, caught in the crossfire, were vaporized in an instant. It was a scene of unimaginable destruction, a testament to the Krill's overwhelming firepower. But even as the Krill unleashed their fury, a new threat emerged from the shadows. A squadron of cloaked human ships, their hulls shimmering with advanced technology, materialized on the flanks of the Krill armada. These were the Ghost ships, the elite strike force of the human resistance, equipped with experimental stealth technology and the most advanced equalizer systems. They struck with lightning speed, their weapons tearing through the unsuspecting Krill ships. The Krill, caught off guard and their defenses compromised, suffered heavy losses. The Ghost ships, their mission accomplished, vanished back into the darkness, leaving behind a trail of burning wreckage and a renewed sense of hope in the hearts of the human defenders. The battle for Earth had reached a turning point. The Krill, once seemingly invincible, were now on the back foot, their arrogance replaced by a growing sense of dread. The humans, though battered and bruised, had proven their resilience and their ability to fight back. The war was far from over, but the seeds of doubt had been sown in the Krill Empire, and the human spirit, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, refused to be extinguished. As the Battle of Earth raged, a clandestine drama unfolded on the Krill homeworld. News of the human resistance's unexpected resilience and the malfunctioning of their advanced weaponry had sent shockwaves through the Krill society. Captain Ryl's network of dissenters seized this opportunity to further sow discord and undermine the High Command's authority. In the dimly lit back alleys of the Krill capital, a clandestine meeting took place. Captain Ryl, disguised in a hooded cloak, met with a group of influential figures, disgruntled military officers, disillusioned scientists, and even a few members of the ruling council. Their faces were hidden in shadows, their voices hushed, but their determination was palpable. "The High Command has led us astray," Ryl declared, his voice a low growl. "Their arrogance and warmongering have brought our empire to the brink of ruin. They have squandered our resources, sacrificed our soldiers, and tarnished our honor." The others nodded in agreement, their mandibles clicking in unison. They had seen firsthand the devastating consequences of the war, the loss of loved ones, the erosion of their cultural values, and the growing discontent among the Krill populace. "We cannot allow this to continue," a council member hissed, her voice filled with venom. "We must remove Zark and his cronies from power. We must restore the true values of our empire." The group discussed their options, weighing the risks and rewards of open rebellion. They knew that the High Command would not relinquish power easily, and that a civil war could tear the Krill Empire apart. But they also knew that inaction would lead to their own destruction, as the war with humanity dragged on and their resources dwindled. Finally, they reached a decision. They would stage a coup, a swift and decisive strike against the High Command. They would expose their corruption, their incompetence, and their betrayal of the Krill people. They would rally the support of the military and the populace, and they would install a new leadership that would lead the Krill towards a brighter future. Meanwhile, Aisha Hassan, the human hacker, continued her digital assault on the Krill's information infrastructure. She had infiltrated their most secure systems, gaining access to classified data, military secrets, and even personal communications between high-ranking officials. She leaked this information to the human resistance and their allies, providing them with valuable intelligence on Krill movements, troop deployments, and technological vulnerabilities. She also used her skills to spread disinformation and sow chaos among the Krill ranks, further fueling the growing unrest. The Krill Empire, once a monolithic and seemingly impenetrable fortress, was now teetering on the edge of collapse. The seeds of rebellion, sown by both humans and Krill alike, were beginning to sprout, threatening to upend the established order and reshape the destiny of the galaxy. The battle for Earth raged on, the Krill Armada unleashing a brutal bombardment on the planet's surface. Cities crumbled, forests burned, and oceans churned under the relentless onslaught. The human defenders, battered and outnumbered, fought with the ferocity of cornered animals, their backs against the wall. On the ground, the resistance fighters, aided by the information leaked by Aisha Hassan, struck at strategic targets, disrupting Krill supply lines, destroying communication relays, and ambushing isolated patrols. Their knowledge of the terrain and their guerrilla tactics proved invaluable, allowing them to inflict disproportionate damage on the Krill forces. In the skies above, the human fleet, though outnumbered and outgunned, held their own against the Krill Armada. The Equalizers, their secret weapon, continued to disrupt the Krill's energy weapons, giving the human pilots a fighting chance. Dogfights raged, missiles streaked through the void, and ships exploded in fiery bursts, their debris raining down on the war-torn planet. In the heart of the chaos, a lone human fighter, piloted by a young woman named Ava Nguyen, engaged a Krill interceptor in a deadly duel. Ava, a natural pilot with lightning reflexes, skillfully evaded the Krill's energy blasts, her ship twisting and turning through the debris field. "You won't get away this time, human," the Krill pilot hissed over the comms, his voice filled with hatred. Ava grinned, her finger tightening on the trigger. "Don't bet on it, Bugface." She unleashed a volley of laser fire, striking the Krill interceptor's engines. The ship sputtered and lost control, spiraling towards the planet below. Ava, her heart pounding with adrenaline, pulled up sharply, narrowly avoiding a collision with the flaming wreckage. She whooped in triumph, her voice echoing through the cockpit. 1 down, 1,000 to go. Meanwhile, on the Krill flagship, High Commander Zark watched the battle with growing frustration. The humans, those insignificant pests, were proving to be far more resilient than he had anticipated. Their resistance was not only holding but seemed to be gaining momentum. He turned to Captain Ryl, his mandibles clicking in anger. "What is the meaning of this, Captain? Explain yourself." Ryl, his face carefully composed, maintained his facade of loyalty. "The humans are fighting with unexpected ferocity, High Commander. Their new weapon technology is proving to be problematic. Zark slammed his fist on the console, his rage barely contained. Problematic. It is a disaster. Our weapons are failing us, our ships are falling, and our soldiers are dying. This is not the glorious victory I was promised. Ryl, sensing an opportunity, seized the moment. Perhaps it is time to reconsider our approach, High Commander. Perhaps a diplomatic solution could be reached, one that would spare further bloodshed and preserve our Empire's resources. Zark's eyes narrowed dangerously. Are you suggesting we surrender to these vermin, Captain? Ryl met his gaze unflinchingly. I am suggesting we explore all options, High Commander. A prolonged war with the humans will only weaken our empire and embolden our enemies. It is time to seek a path towards peace. Zark stared at Ryl for a long moment, his mind racing. He knew that Ryl was right, but his pride and arrogance refused to admit defeat. He would not be the High Commander who surrendered to the humans. He would fight to the bitter end, even if it meant the destruction of his empire. The Krill High Command, entrenched in their opulent chambers, remained oblivious to the growing storm brewing beneath their feet. High Commander Zark, his mandibles clicking in agitation, paced back and forth as reports of the human resistance's unexpected resilience flooded his console. The equalizer technology, he spat, his voice dripping with venom. It's a plague, infecting our forces and undermining our might. Find a solution, and find it quickly. His advisors, their antennae quivering with fear, scrambled to obey, but their efforts were in vain. The equalizers, a testament to human ingenuity and adaptability, had proven to be a formidable countermeasure to the Krill's advanced weaponry. Meanwhile, in the depths of the Krill flagship, Captain Ryl and his co-conspirators finalized their plans for the coup. They had secured the support of key personnel in various departments, from engineering to communications to security. The time for action was drawing near. Ryl, his face a mask of grim determination, addressed his fellow conspirators. Our moment has arrived, he declared, his voice a low growl. Tonight, we strike a blow for the future of our empire. We will remove Zark and his cronies from power and set the Krill on a new path, a path of peace and prosperity. The others nodded in agreement, their mandibles clicking in unison. They were ready to risk everything for their cause, to reclaim their empire from the clutches of a tyrannical regime. As the sun set over the Krill homeworld, casting long shadows across the sprawling cityscape, the conspirators put their plan into action. Coordinated teams of Krill soldiers, loyal to Ryl's cause, moved silently through the corridors of the High Command's fortress, disabling security systems and neutralizing loyalist guards. Aisha Hassan, from her hidden location on a remote moon, provided crucial support, hacking into the Krill's security systems and feeding false information to the High Command's monitors. She created a digital smokescreen, diverting their attention and allowing Ryl's forces to gain a foothold within the fortress. High Commander Zark, oblivious to the impending betrayal, was engrossed in a strategy meeting with his advisors. He was outlining his plans for a renewed offensive against Earth when the doors to the chamber burst open. Ryl, flanked by his loyal officers, entered the room, their weapons trained on Zark and his entourage. A stunned silence filled the air as Zark stared at Ryl in disbelief. "Ryl," he hissed, his mandibles clicking in fury. "What is the meaning of this treason?" Ryl's eyes narrowed, his voice cold and unwavering. "Your reign of terror ends tonight, Zark. You have led our empire down a path of destruction and dishonor. You have sacrificed countless lives for your own ambition. You are no longer fit to lead." Zark lunged at Ryl, his claws extended, but he was quickly subdued by the other officers. Zil and the other council members, their faces pale with fear, were also taken into custody. The coup had begun, and the fate of the Krill Empire hung in the balance. The news of the coup sent shockwaves through the Krill Empire. The once unquestioned authority of the High Command was shattered, replaced by uncertainty and a power vacuum. The galactic community watched with bated breath, unsure of what this upheaval meant for the future of the war and the balance of power in the galaxy. On Earth, the human resistance fighters rejoiced at the news. The Krill's infighting was a sign of weakness, a glimmer of hope in their desperate struggle for survival. Admiral Petrova, though cautious, saw an opportunity to exploit the chaos and gain the upper hand. "We must strike while the iron is hot," she declared during a strategy meeting with her top advisors. "The Krill are in disarray, their leadership in turmoil. This is our chance to push back, to reclaim our lost territories, and to send a message that humanity will not be cowed." Her advisors, a mix of military strategists, scientists, and diplomats, nodded in agreement. They had all suffered under the Krill's tyranny, and they yearned for a chance to strike back. "But we must be careful," cautioned Dr. Tanaka, his brow furrowed in thought. "We don't know who will emerge victorious in this power struggle. We must be prepared for any outcome." Anya nodded, acknowledging the wisdom of his words. "We will proceed with caution," she said, "but we will not hesitate to seize any opportunity that presents itself. The Krill have underestimated us for too long. It's time to show them what we're truly capable of." The human fleet, bolstered by the equalizers and the intelligence gathered by Aisha Hassan, launched a series of coordinated attacks on Krill outposts and supply lines. They targeted vulnerable points in the Krill's defenses, exploiting the confusion and disarray caused by the coup. On the ground, the resistance fighters intensified their guerrilla campaign, ambushing Krill patrols, sabotaging their infrastructure, and rescuing captured humans. They were no longer fighting for mere survival, but for a chance to reclaim their homeworld and secure a brighter future for their species. The Krill, caught between the internal struggle for power and the escalating human resistance, found themselves on the defensive. Their once formidable military machine was faltering, their morale plummeting, and their grip on power slipping away. Captain Ryl, now the de facto leader of the Krill Rebellion, broadcasted a message to the galaxy, denouncing the High Command's warmongering and pledging to seek a peaceful resolution with humanity. His message was met with mixed reactions, some species skeptical of his motives, others cautiously optimistic. The galactic community watched with bated breath as the Krill Empire teetered on the brink of collapse. The fate of countless lives, the future of entire civilizations, hung in the balance. The stage was set for a final showdown, a clash of ideologies and wills that would determine the destiny of the galaxy. The news of the coup reached the Krill Armada in orbit around Earth, throwing the fleet into further disarray. Loyalties were divided, confusion reigned, and the once unified command structure fractured along the lines of the growing schism. On the flagship, High Commander Zark raged against his confinement, his mandibles clicking in a frenzy as he demanded to be released. His loyal guard, however, had been neutralized by Ryl's operatives, and he was now a prisoner in his own ship. Meanwhile, Ryl addressed the Krill fleet over the comms, his voice broadcasting across the vast expanse of space. "Brothers and sisters of the Krill Empire," he declared, his tone measured and authoritative. "I stand before you today not as a usurper, but as a liberator. High Commander Zark and his cronies have led us astray, their lust for power and conquest blinding them to the true needs of our people. They have plunged our empire into a senseless war, a war that has cost us dearly in lives and resources." Ryl paused, allowing his words to sink in. Then he continued, his voice rising in intensity. "But no more. Today, we reclaim our destiny. We reject the path of aggression and embrace the path of peace. We will negotiate with the humans, not as conquerors, but as equals. We will seek a resolution that benefits both our species, a future where we can coexist in harmony and prosperity." Ryl's message resonated with many in the fleet, who had grown weary of the war and yearned for a return to peace. Some ships hesitated, their crews torn between loyalty to the High Command and the allure of Ryl's promises. Others, inspired by his words, openly declared their support for the new regime, turning their weapons against those who remained loyal to Zark. The Krill fleet, once a monolithic force, was now divided against itself. The ensuing chaos created an opportunity for the human fleet, who seized the moment to press their advantage. Human ships, emboldened by the equalizers and the Krill's disarray, launched a series of daring attacks, targeting vulnerable ships and crippling key systems. On Earth, the Resistance fighters, sensing a shift in the tide of battle, redoubled their efforts. They stormed Krill outposts, liberated captured humans, and sabotaged enemy infrastructure. The Krill, caught between a rebellion in their ranks and a relentless enemy on the ground, found themselves fighting a war on two fronts. The battle for Earth had reached a critical juncture. The outcome was uncertain, the stakes higher than ever. But one thing was clear: humanity, once on the brink of extinction, had found a way to fight back. They had turned their despair into defiance, their weakness into strength. They were not victims, but survivors. They were humans, and they would not be denied their rightful place in the galaxy. The mutiny within the Krill Armada escalated into open warfare. Loyalist ships exchanged fire with rebel vessels, their energy blast illuminating the darkness of space with deadly flashes of light. The once orderly formations disintegrated into a chaotic melee, as captains and crews made split-second decisions based on their allegiances. Aboard the flagship, High Commander Zark found himself trapped in a desperate struggle for survival. His loyal guards had been overwhelmed, and the rebels were closing in on his command center. He activated his personal shield generator, deflecting a hail of blaster fire. But he knew it was only a matter of time before his defenses were breached. Meanwhile, Captain Ryl led a boarding party onto the flagship, his mandibles clicking with grim determination. He fought his way through the ship's corridors, his claws flashing as he cut down loyalist soldiers. He knew that capturing Zark alive was crucial for the success of the coup, but he was also prepared to kill the High Commander if necessary. As the battle raged throughout the ship, the news of the mutiny spread like wildfire throughout the Krill Empire. Planets and star systems that had once been under the High Command's iron grip now erupted in open revolt. Governors and military commanders declared their allegiance to Ryl, their hopes for a peaceful resolution to the war outweighing their loyalty to a crumbling regime. On Earth, the human resistance fighters watched the Krill fleet descend into chaos with a mixture of awe and apprehension. Admiral Petrova, though cautious, recognized the opportunity that presented itself. She ordered the human fleet to press their advantage, targeting the loyalist ships while avoiding those that had declared for Ryl. "This is our chance to break the Krill's back," she told her officers. "We must strike with all our might, while they are divided and vulnerable." The human ships, their engines roaring, charged into the fray. They unleashed a torrent of firepower, their equalizers rendering the Krill's energy weapons useless. The Krill, caught between two enemies, suffered heavy losses. Ships exploded, their debris adding to the growing cloud of wreckage that surrounded Earth. The battle raged for hours, the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance. But as the sun rose over the war-torn Earth, the outcome became clear. The Krill loyalists, outnumbered and outmaneuvered, were forced to retreat, their once mighty armada reduced to a scattered remnant. Captain Ryl, standing on the bridge of the captured flagship, watched the retreating Krill ships with a bittersweet feeling in his heart. He had succeeded in his coup, but at a great cost. The Krill Empire was now fractured, its future uncertain. But he had also opened a path towards peace, a chance for his people to redeem themselves and forge a new destiny. He turned to his officers, his mandibles clicking in a solemn tone. "The war is not over," he said, "but a new chapter has begun. We must now reach out to the humans, offer them a hand of friendship, and together rebuild our shattered civilizations." The mutiny sent shockwaves through the Krill Empire, echoing far beyond the confines of their flagship. News of the uprising spread rapidly through their tightly controlled communication networks, sparking unrest and rebellion in the most unexpected corners of the galaxy. On the Krill-occupied planet of Taurus Roman IV, a mining colony vital for the Empire's war machine, a group of miners, weary of their brutal overseers and inspired by Ryl's message of hope, staged a revolt. Armed with nothing but their mining tools and a burning desire for freedom, they overpowered the Krill guards, seized control of the colony's infrastructure, and declared their allegiance to the new regime. "No longer will we toil in the darkness for our oppressors. Their leader, a grizzled miner named Borak, roared, his voice amplified through the colony's communication system. "We are Krill, and we deserve a better future. We stand with Captain Ryl and his vision for a peaceful and prosperous empire." The news of the Taurus Roman IV uprising spread like wildfire, igniting similar rebellions on other Krill-controlled worlds. Governors and military commanders, sensing the shifting tides of power, declared their allegiance to Ryl, their hopes for a peaceful resolution to the war outweighing their loyalty to a crumbling regime. Even on the Krill homeworld, the seeds of dissent, planted by Aisha Hassan and nurtured by Captain Ryl, began to bloom. Civilian protests erupted in the streets, demanding an end to the war and the removal of the remaining high command loyalists. The once united Krill society was fracturing along the fault lines of discontent, threatening to tear the empire apart from within. The human resistance, sensing a turning point in the conflict, capitalized on the Krill's internal turmoil. With the Krill fleet in disarray and their attention divided, Admiral Petrova launched a series of audacious raids, liberating human prisoners, capturing valuable resources, and further undermining the Krill's war effort. Ambassador Khan, working with the Scythian and other allies, amplified the message of peace and unity, broadcasting it across the galaxy on all frequencies. She highlighted the Krill's atrocities, their internal strife, and the growing movement for change within their own ranks. Her words resonated with many species who saw in humanity's struggle a reflection of their own desire for freedom and self-determination. The Krill Empire, once a seemingly unstoppable juggernaut, was now teetering on the brink of collapse. The rebellion, fueled by a potent mix of human defiance, Krill discontent, and Scythian wisdom, had ignited a fire that threatened to consume the entire empire, and in the heart of this inferno, a new dawn was breaking, a dawn of hope, unity, and the possibility of a lasting peace. With the Krill Empire in turmoil, the human resistance seized the opportunity to liberate Earth. The battle for Earth entered its final, desperate stage. Admiral Petrova, coordinating the human fleet with the precision of a maestro conducting a symphony, directed her ships to strike at the heart of the remaining Krill forces. On the ground, the resistance fighters, their ranks swelled by liberated prisoners and defected Krill soldiers, launched a full-scale assault on the remaining Krill strongholds. They fought with a newfound confidence, their spirits soaring with the knowledge that their long-oppressed brethren were rising up across the galaxy. Emily Chen, leading a band of New London survivors, spearheaded the assault on the Krill headquarters in the ruins of the city. Armed with equalizers and fueled by years of pent-up rage, they fought their way through the Krill defenses, their battle cries echoing through the shattered streets. As the resistance fighters breached the Krill headquarters, a fierce melee ensued. Humans and Krill clashed in hand-to-hand combat, their desperation and fury fueling their every move. Emily, her face streaked with sweat and grime, fought her way to the central command center, where a group of Krill officers desperately tried to maintain control. "This ends now," she shouted, her voice ringing with righteous anger. "You have no power here anymore." With a powerful kick, she shattered the command console, plunging the headquarters into darkness. The remaining Krill soldiers, their communication and command structure severed, surrendered, their will to fight broken. Meanwhile, in the skies above Earth, the human fleet, aided by defecting Krill ships, overwhelmed the Loyalist forces. The equalizers rendered the Krill's energy weapons useless, and their ships fell one by one, their fiery demise painting a grim tableau against the backdrop of the stars. Admiral Petrova, watching the battle from the bridge of the Dauntless, felt a surge of pride and relief. Earth was finally free, the Krill's grip on humanity broken. But she knew that their victory was not yet complete. She turned to her communications officer. "Send a message to Captain Ryl," she ordered. "Congratulate him on his victory and assure him of our support. But also remind him that the war is not over. We must work together to rebuild our shattered civilizations and ensure that such a tragedy never happens again." As the last Krill ship retreated from Earth's orbit, a wave of jubilation swept across the planet. Humanity had defied the odds, overcome their oppressors, and reclaimed their home. It was a victory hard won, a victory forged in the crucible of war. But it was also a victory that would inspire future generations, a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. In the aftermath of the Krill's retreat from Earth, a new era dawned for humanity and the galaxy at large. The Krill Empire, once a symbol of unyielding power, was now fractured and weakened, its future uncertain. The rebellion led by Captain Ryl had exposed the rot at the Empire's core, igniting a spark of hope in the hearts of oppressed species across the stars. On Earth, the atmosphere was one of cautious optimism. The scars of war were deep, the losses immeasurable, but the human spirit, tempered by adversity, remained unbroken. The survivors emerged from their shelters, their faces etched with both grief and determination. They had endured the unimaginable, and they were ready to rebuild, to create a better future for themselves and their children. Admiral Petrova, hailed as a hero, addressed the global assembly, her voice filled with both sorrow and hope. "We have paid a heavy price for our freedom," she declared, "but we have not paid it in vain. We have shown the galaxy that humanity will not be subjugated, that we will fight for our right to exist, and that we will emerge from the ashes stronger than ever before." The reconstruction of Earth began in earnest, a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of the human spirit. The ruins of cities were transformed into vibrant hubs of innovation and creativity. New technologies, developed under the pressure of war, were now used to heal the planet's wounds and create a more sustainable future. Ambassador Khan, her diplomatic skills honed by years of navigating the treacherous waters of galactic politics, led the effort to establish a new relationship with the Krill. She reached out to Captain Ryl and his faction, offering a hand of friendship and cooperation. "The past is behind us," she told Ryl during a historic meeting on a neutral space station. "We have both suffered greatly in this conflict. Now is the time to heal, to rebuild, and to forge a new path forward, together." Ryl, his mandibles clicking thoughtfully, nodded in agreement. "You are wise, Ambassador. The Krill have much to atone for, but we are ready to make amends. We seek a future where both our species can thrive, a future where we can learn from each other and contribute to the betterment of the galaxy." The two leaders shook hands, their gestures symbolizing a new era of cooperation and understanding. It was a fragile peace, built on the ashes of war, but it held the promise of a brighter future for both humans and Krill. In the years that followed, humanity rose to prominence in the galactic community, their courage and resilience inspiring others. They shared their technology, their knowledge, and their culture with other species, fostering a spirit of cooperation and mutual respect. The scars of war never fully faded, but they served as a reminder of the cost of conflict and the importance of peace. Humanity had faced its darkest hour and emerged stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever before. They had learned that their greatest strength lay not in their weapons or their technology, but in their indomitable spirit, their unyielding will to survive, and their unwavering belief in the power of unity.